What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. Now, there was a story out, and I tried to stay away from it, but there's a lot of stuff surrounding it, so I figured I'd weigh in on it. What the heck? So, the female officer that shot the black man in his apartment in Texas says she accidentally walked into the wrong apartment, and lights were low. She had been working long shift. She is tired. She walked in. He was sitting down eating some ice cream, and she thought it was a burglar. She shot him. Now, what made this story controversial was one, she got 10 years. A lot of people are upset about that. They're like, oh, she only got 10 years. It's crazy. She should have got way more. But then two, the brother of the man that was shot gave a speech today, and he seemed to be a little nervous, but he ended up talking about how he forgives her and he loves her, and he said, I don't even want to see you punished for it. And he offers to give her a hug. He gives her a hug, and then people are going all over the place. There's all these mixed emotions concerning his public display of forgiveness and embracing this woman. Some people trying to make it racial. I mean, you got Joey on The View talking about when is the last time a white person forgave a black person. It always goes back to race. But nonetheless, I think that when you see these types of expressions, the only thing that can make a person forgive someone that did something like that to hurt a loved one is there has to be a love or entity greater than you, your attitude, your anger, your just any type of judgment, all of that stuff. Something in you has to be greater than all of that. The human side would definitely say, man, this woman took my brother's life, whether she meant to do it or not, she should pay. But then I think his faith is bigger than all of that he has on himself. Now, I've seen some people do some amazing acts of forgiveness. Now, not everyone expresses their forgiveness right there on TV, but every once in a while, a powerful act of forgiveness is a testimony of how real God is in a person's life to allow them to forgive somebody that most people would look at and say, can't do it, man. I don't care what you got to say, can't do it. Forgiveness will eat you up. A lot of people take unforgiveness will eat you up. A lot of people take unforgiveness to the grave. And so what he did is he made a public display of his forgiveness, and he also talked about the motivation and the ability to do it is godly motivated, and he hopes that she meets God through his act of forgiveness. Now, some people are upset, and they're saying, well, he didn't have to do that, and then she only got 10 years, and that's another thing. You look at the 10 years. I was all torn up about this case because from the time the woman walked into court, she's been boo-hooing, she's been crying, and I'm sure that most likely it's hard to prove that for no reason, because they've given us no motive, no reason for this woman to say, here, I'm 31 years old, I'm going to purposely go into this man's unlocked apartment, knowing it's not mine, and shoot and kill this dude and ruin my whole life and go to prison. She got some big problems. That 10 years that she got, people might say, well, that's nothing. Well, not only is she in there for 10 years, but she knows when she gets out, she's not getting a job. And this will follow her. People will be like, is that the woman who shot the black dude? She knows that she's a cop going into prison. She knows that not only am I a cop going into prison, but I shot a black man going into prison. All of these things. And then you got the four walls of her mind that's going to eat her up, seeing what she did to that young man over and over again. And that is after she gets out of prison. She's going to have to find ways to forgive herself. Granted, regardless whether she meant to do it or not, she has to come to grips with you took a life. So there gotta be a consequence to that. All right. But that doesn't mean that the young man can't deal with it in a way that frees his conscience and allows him to move forward by forgiving her. And then let the spiritual stuff of forgiveness be one thing, but that doesn't negate the fact that you got to pay the price when it comes down to the laws of the land. You got to do some time. Now, I think in most cases, she probably should have got more than 10 years. But if I had to guess, This was a very emotional case. The woman's a cop. You can't say it was because it was a white judge. The lady was black, who was the judge over it. But I think there was a genuine feeling that, yeah, we got to punish you. But at the end of the day, I can't believe that you just for no reason went in there and just shot the man. Now, the way you handled the situation was probably bad. Your training probably sucked, or whatever you did wrong got you to this point. So you got to pay a price. But we can't say that you maliciously killed the young man. Horrible, unfortunate accident. But I really wanted to focus on this young man's ability to forgive her for that. Now, you look at some of the biggest things that have taken place where someone has hurt someone and then there's been a public display of forgiveness. I have to give it to Emmett Till's mother. Before I ever was a Christian, I watched the documentary on Emmett Till, and they showed him in the casket and what those guys did to him. And they purposely did that. These guys were malicious, and they were interviewing her, and they said, "Do you hate the men that did this to you?" And she said, "Absolutely not." They said, "Really? How could you not hate them?" She said, "Because, God has allowed me to forgive them." And she said, "And in fact, I could take their kids and raise them like they were my own." And at the time I was thinking, what? Man, I'd take them kids and be like, "You know what your daddy did? Get in that room over there. I'm spanking you every day for nothing." Yeah. But nonetheless, I couldn't identify with how could you forgive someone that did something so horrible? And they meant to do it. And yet God was greater in her and allowed her to forgive those men. Well, I think the same thing. When I look at people that's able to do that, usually it is motivated based off of their religion and their faith. That's what allows them to do it. That's why I can understand why this young man would do it. Because without that, most people can't do it. Without something greater than them on the inside, they are going to judge that person based off of their natural tendencies. You took my family member, you took my, and even now I can't say if somebody hurt one of my family members or friends, it would be easy to just be like, "Well, I know you didn't mean it. Come here, I love you, I forgive you." It would take the Holy Ghost. I ain't gonna take the Holy Ghost. Yeah, but people are, got all mixed out emotions over it. And I will say, the young man, I think he handled it well. I think it was a great display of humility, love, forgiveness. And some people may agree, some people may not agree, but at the end of the day, this guy has to live with that choice and cope with the loss of his brother and also answer to God. And so I'm not going to judge him, but it was touching to see on TV. I was like, that's pretty deep. And I didn't want to get wrapped up in it. We're like, trying to make it all racial where other people are trying to do that. I see the common factor that allows people to do this, whether it be Emmett Till's mother, this young man. It has nothing to do with their race. It always comes down to their faith. And that's what allows them to do this. So it is faith, not race, that allows you to forgive somebody. Anyway, God bless you. Check me out every Wednesday night, 7:30 live in Kevin's Corner. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. Find me on Facebook and the Twitter. And let's see. If you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link in the bottom. You can click it, put my I guess my PayPal, all that stuff is down there. And check out Extreme Tees. If you like what you see, put my name in the promo code, you'll get a 20% discount. All right, God bless. See you next time in Kevin's Corner.